Hi there everybody. Welcome to this video which aims to explain my personal experience and view of how networking and interpersonal relations have enhanced my own life experiences, and more specifically, my own career as a physician. My name is Raman, and I'm a first-year psychiatry resident, but 1 year ago I was a final year medical student at the Schulich Windsor campus, where the community of 38 students a year was incredibly tight-knit, supportive, and conducive to what I imagine will be lifelong connections for decades to come. The benefits of community building and connection were obvious to me from at least my teenage years, moving around often in elementary school from PEI and finally to Toronto. I developed from a shy younger sibling from a large family into a gregarious culture and community builder who was quickly able to integrate easily and effectively into my international boarding school, where I was able to hone my leadership interests and abilities in an effort to better the situation of my co-residents and international students who were away from their parents and in a foreign culture for the first time. Empathy is crucial for proactivity in fostering relationships with others. And when I arrived in my Canadian boarding school as a fresh face, I immediately recognized my privilege as a native English speaker and Canadian citizen among many foreign national teens. And I became proactive in engaging and fostering a community of fellow boarders from a variety of cultural backgrounds, from Korea, Thailand, Japan, to Spain, Mexico, even places as far as Atlanta. This very community orientation and skill set honed through this trajectory from shy skater kid from PEI to boarding school community leader helped me existentially realize how rewarding I found this ability to leverage my expertise to translate into enhanced outcomes, comfort, and safety felt by my fellow students. Paired with this passion of translating my own experience to the benefit of others, paired with an excellent, charismatic, and supportive mentor in my biology teacher, I soon found that I was a natural fit for medicine. So early on, I clearly benefited from networking in the sense of gaining a mentor and being able to help others by being a node in that network, connecting people to resources and other like-minded individuals to help increase comfort and adjustment to a new situation. Although I come from a medical family, getting into medicine was not a straightforward path for me. And I think for many others with even further detachments from the field, it can be quite intimidating to know when to start. When you start your MCAT, when are you supposed to apply, what are the timelines for all of these things? In Canada, we have the Pre-Med 101 forums, which are pretty infamous in the pre-med crowd, but as Reddit gains more and more of a foothold on all information, that's a good resource as well. However, what I found was most effective was networking with my fellow pre-med classmates to discuss study strategies and planning for a useful use of our summers as well as deadlines that are upcoming. That network of pre-medical students was incredibly valuable in keeping each other on task to reach our common goal. In summary, my social orientation and passion for outreach and supporting and being supported by others has helped me become an effective leader through rote experience. You will make mistakes, but if you seek advice from the people you meet through conscious networking at mixer events or through your social life in general, you may make them at a lesser rate, and you may just be afforded opportunities to grow that you wouldn't have been aware of without them. Initially, like many, I started as a reluctant leader, someone who through local status had the ability to help others get comfortable being away from their parents in a foreign country for the first time, with no meaningful effort on my end. After all, what did it cost me? But reflecting back on this initial push towards leadership by rising to that occasion, it had taught me the incredibly rewarding work of community building, leadership, mediation, and support, which subsequently helped me choose this career in psychiatry and developed my career ambitions to help others as a mentor and information source through my PsychiaTube YouTube channel. Through seeking out leadership experience with the motivation of supporting my campus community, I was able to be elected campus president in my third year of medical school and utilized my network of upper and lower year students in order to attempt to provide a cohesive community in our small program. Question 1. What are some examples of valuable connections making a difference in leadership or your medical journey? While in medical school, I luckily had close connections to both the class above and below my own, in no small part due to a few senior students from being in my social circles throughout undergrad, as well as meeting all of the lower year students during my time as orientation coordinator in my second year of medical school. This greatly enhanced the experience of medical school and added to the already solid cohesion of the whole campus across years, and especially softened the blow of going unmatched, as the class I joined graduating in 2021 felt like natural extension of my own pre-existing circle. Going unmatched is one of the greatest fears of medical students, but having gone through it, I can say the social ties you have with people who check up on you or try to connect you with proactive opportunities to enhance your application make it infinitely more tolerable. Resilience is a word that is vaguely paid lip service to in the context of burnout in medicine, but truly, social connections are one of my biggest protective factors to this end, and this career speed bump definitely helped me identify this aspect of my life as worth conserving. There are unmatched student networks, which greatly helped contextualize this experience and maintain a positive outlook. This is especially important with subjects such as mental health or going unmatched in medicine, failure, as it is a bit of a taboo topic. So being connected with individuals who have gone through something similar and are open about talking about their experience with you really adds to the element of not being alone. My psychiatry preceptor was also an amazing mentor and really helped actively change my mindset from one of dejection into proactivity and resilience following my going unmatched and starting my second wind of application to psychiatry. I hope to pass this forward through my work in mentorship and in researching the CARMS process in the future. Another experience where my connections made a big difference during my development in medical school was my involvement in the campus cover band, the Med Hot Chili Peppers. I've played guitar for almost 20 years now, but you would never know it from hearing me play. I'm at a solid beginner level still. But I do love music, so I joined the band in first year as my extracurricular activity. Despite being fairly social, I am absolutely mortified of public speaking and performance, and I remember the night before the first show, I was so nervous I wanted to back out of the band then and there. I played bass as a role player since every other guitarist was much better than me, and no one wanted to play bass. And I felt comfortable learning the instrument on the fly due to my previous guitar playing, and I'm always comfortable rising to the occasion when needed. However, when I voiced this to the leaders of the band, they sat me down and reassured me that everything was going to be fine. Everyone's always nervous on their first show, and truly was no big deal to play in front of maybe 100-odd fellow medical students who were by no means expecting a Coachella-level experience. This coaching truly made me feel comfortable and valued as a member of the band, and I went on to play tens of more shows throughout my career as a band leader in our medical school Schulich-Palooza shows. The COVID-19 pandemic is a devastating and novel time, but just as with one hand it took away the opportunity of my class to go to the graduation trip, with the other it provided the silver lining of an opportunity to connect with my friends from various eras of my life spanning the world over. I was able to connect with my old boarding school music partner and put out some electropop music, podcast with my friend from high school out in Ottawa, catch up with my banking friend out in the Ukraine over LinkedIn. I still don't know how money works though, and catch up with an old middle school friend across the country. I think it's important in fostering relationships, especially maintaining them, to take advantage of any opportunity you have, any thought that crosses your mind that reminds you of that person. With our technology we have now, you can just reach out right away and let them know. It doesn't cost you anything. Question 2. In your opinion, why is networking important for medical students in leadership positions or not? In my opinion, networking, or less formally, connecting with others socially, is essential for medical students. regardless of our individual backgrounds, as highly educated individuals and throughout the sometimes insular process of medical education, it's paramount to remain connected to the world outside of medicine. To understand the context of your future patients, enhance your ability to relate and connect with them for optimal health outcomes, it only benefits your clinical skills to seek out advice, connections, and experiences from people that are different from you. Outside of benefiting your career directly, it also helps contextualize life more broadly. As I mentioned previously, going unmatched is the unspoken terror in many medical students' life. But if you take a few steps back, there are much worse things that could happen in your life. We will all get older, and as more time passes, the more we will look back on those times where our biggest stress was getting into a dream program or specialty. Just like now, how we look back fondly on when our biggest stressor was bringing home a C to our parents, or more likely an A- for our crowd. Experiencing more of life, in this case vicariously, can only benefit your clinical skills, resilience to challenges, and optimally set you up with resources to face and conquer challenges that come your way. As a leader especially, it's incredibly beneficial to be able to personally relate to the people you lead, both in stoking confidence in your ability to represent and make decisions for them, as well as in being proactive in seeking out ways to help people without them having to ask, because sometimes that's the hardest part. If you understand unique challenges that may face people before they, sometimes with embarrassment, bring them up themselves, not only does it save them the need to advocate, but it also bolsters morale and shows just how supportive and emotionally safe that team really is, which can only feed back into itself as time passes. Medicine is a small field. You'll notice this as you start flying with your backpacks and have attendings of a variety of ages asking about what school you're from or what fields you're interested in. If you can socialize and make a good impression with people at every opportunity, eventually that small circle may end up with a generally positive reception of you. You want that when you're up for a residency match position, or if something should not go your way, you're more likely to be given the benefit of the doubt if you have people that can speak to your good character. Now, this is not to say that you should only act in this way to achieve this end, but it is an important benefit that should be discussed. I do want to point out that we're a smart bunch. Usually people can see through phony and superficial sycophantic behavior. So really mean what you say. If you are a more introverted person, you don't have to come out the gate swinging with anecdotes. You can simply say hi and see where the conversation goes, if anywhere. There's no shame in short conversations. Most of the time it opens things up once you see them later on. Aside from these professional advantages of putting your name out there, building a good collegial reputation, and being sought after for company, don't forget, you're here to treat, engage with, and help people, your patients. All social skills you hone, build, and iron out during medical training will all translate to better your rapport with patients of all backgrounds and life circumstances, as well as help engage with any future ambitions, whether it be politics, business, media, or industry. Soft skills have the benefit of being widely translatable, highly valued, and can act in a positive feedback way to success. You'll gain more opportunities to learn and grow by being made aware of them through your social networks postings on LinkedIn, Twitter, what have you, or even reaching out to you thinking that you might be a good fit for something one of their other colleagues has going on. What networking opportunities have you had through medical school? Social mixing events were a big part of my medical school networking. On our welcome event, I remember going out of my way to talk to as many of the staff who are unoccupied to help get conversations between students and staff rolling. Those first few are always the most awkward. A valuable thing I remember is a cardiologist telling me back in his day, choosing a specialty was mostly about finding a supervisor you vibed with and learning their field from them as a function of the supportive and cohesive relationship. I think that mentor-mentee attitude throughout medicine is conserved to some degree with our preceptorships and rotation advisors, but it really tells us a lot about how you can learn the intangibles as well as the tangibles through your network. Another opportunity are conferences. In conferences, you know which people are students, which automatically gives you a bit of an icebreaker to talk to them about what schools they're from, what their experiences are, and what interests they have in inside and outside of medicine. Remember, medical students and doctors are just people at the end of the day. It's nice to break bread and network with people without the competitive subtext. Lastly, during interviews for medical school and residency, it's always a time of heightened anxiety. Mine tends to manifest in a social orientation to try to help others who may be more outwardly showing of their nerves. Help ease tension for all, and selfishly, this also helps my own nervousness, so it's a win-win. I have met many acquaintances this way who I still keep up with and ended up going to medical school with along the way. I just think you can't go wrong, and you never know if they'll spread a positive evaluation about you to someone you know or could help you out eventually. Again, it's not the reason to do things like that necessarily, but it is a hidden benefit. How do you leverage social media to build connections? Social media in the professional world is an evolving element. When I was applying to medical school, it was all about blocking out any inappropriate pictures or weird quiz results for which house you were in Harry Potter. But nowadays, it's much more a proactive tool to maintain a presence within your field and pick up on conference opportunities quickly when there are limited seatings and get to know prominent names in the field from a more informal lens. It also really helps you see past the professional facade many seem to have when they're in their role as supervisors or professionals. It's always exciting to find out people you may assume are pretty straight-laced, have a similar sense of humor to you, or have odd hobbies or passions that may surprise you. For me, humor is key to my own personality and self-expression, so I found joking around on social media has expanded my professional network with people who appreciate a similar wit and referential humor, and bonus points if you make it medically related. What techniques do you use to maintain meaningful relationships once a connection has been made? My advice about maintaining relationships is to always be proactive in keeping up with people. Social media really facilitates this, but can also enable a passive, check-the-box type of upkeep with others. You think about your happy birthday posts annually with no other conversation. Liking someone's post or seeing them on your feed lets you stay clued in, but if you're naturally curious about others, send a response to their photos every now and then. Where was this taken? What kind of camera? What have you been up to lately? These kinds of genuine questions help people know you are legitimately interested in their lives since you last caught up, and can help you learn more in general, as well as keep up to date about how things have been going for them. Also, if an opportunity comes up in your circle, share it. If you're part of a club or initiative, or a research opportunity outside of your field comes up, take the extra energy to remember who you know who could benefit or could be well suited to this opportunity and reach out to them with the link. If they're not interested, they still know you're looking out and may return the favor should something in their network come out that's appropriate for you. Again, shouldn't be the goal necessarily, but it is a nice gesture that requires minimal effort on your part and can really have a big payoff in their eyes, for themselves, as well as for your relationship with them. What is the most challenging part of developing meaningful relationships? How do you overcome this? I think the most challenging element of developing a relationship to me, and I think this will differ for everybody, is coming across as genuine. I think going through the motions and in a professional field that's full of quite high achieving individuals, it's easy to be skeptical about people engaging in conversation with an agenda or some self-promotion in the background. If you're able to come across as genuine, be legitimately interested, and actively listen to your conversation partner, it really does wonders in building rapport and ensuring that the relationship from the outset is based on a genuine connection rather than an agenda or an ask that is coming up. I think another thing that is challenging in developing a relationship is handling conflict. No matter what, conflicts of various natures and intensities will come up whenever you have two people over a long period of time. Managing conflict depending on your personality, that person's personality, communication style, and being transparent about your feelings is much easier said than done. It's often quite easy, especially as people move geographically over time, to let things rest on a sour note and not put in the effort to try to reconcile this. Not all conflicts are suitable or need to be resolved necessarily, but I think it does do wonders to the conservation of a relationship merely to let the other person know you're trying to reconcile or trying to work through something rather than devaluing the relationship based on a conservation of pride. I think one other challenging part of meaningful relationships, especially as a medical trainee, is the continuity. As we change locations possibly for residency, change different stages of our lives over the next 10 years, it's tough to keep an active finger on the pulse of your social circle you were very close with in medical school. I think group chats, technology such as video calls, as well as really getting down to the scheduling of your life is important in terms of making time and making plans with people to ensure a relationship doesn't go by the wayside. It's much harder to resurrect a relationship that has been dormant for 5 years than it is for 5 months. So being proactive in planning with others and making time is crucial for the continuity of meaningful relationships, in my opinion. What interpersonal relation skills do you use when working in team environments? I think respecting everyone as an individual with their own social, familial, professional, and other considerations, responsibilities, and priorities is important to keep in your mind at all times. It can be frustrating when, as a leader, a delegated task seems straightforward and easy to complete, but you don't know what's going on in that person's life that's affecting this ability to get this done. Flexibility to switch tasks while balancing holding people accountable is ideal, but quite tricky to figure out in practice and should be approached on a case-by-case basis. However, I think the benefit of the doubt is important in all aspects. Another skill I employ when working in a team is the importance of feedback and being proactive in seeking feedback for yourself, not only to make yourself a better leader, a better group member in the future, but also to help employ an environment of transparency, honesty, and goodwill to express constructive feedback to each other so that there aren't any hidden animosities or judgments, and that all possible plans forward are discussed and come to an agreeable solution for the whole team. Related to this, I also agree with the time-tested phrase of, to be a good leader, you must be a good follower first. And I think entering any leadership position, it's incredibly important to speak with the person that served the term before you, talk about what they think would be useful from their experience going forward in the role, as well as the advice that they received from others before them, to be able to best inform your strategies going forward. And lastly, for me, as a reluctant leader most of the time, it's important to also ask yourself, are you the best person for this job or this leadership job from all the group members and individuals that you have available? Sometimes people that are comfortable in leadership positions and stepping up whenever there is a need are good at being proactive and taking the initiative, but perhaps there's someone that's actually better suited to that role within the group that just are not as forthcoming or not as confident in taking the lead in these situations. So definitely investigate the experiences and the aptitudes and the interests of the people within your group to see whether maybe the best act of leadership that you can offer in that position is actually to forgo it and push for someone else to lead the group. What advice do you have for students who want to improve their networking and interpersonal relation skills? My advice for improving networking and social skills is to get out there. Take on roles or try out for positions as soon as possible and get out of your comfort zone. It's important to approach this with that exposure therapy kind of mindset. I remember my first shift in retail, I wanted to stay in the stock room the whole time, learn all of the sorting system and the location of every model of clothing item before I actually went out and faced the customers. Although I'm social and I had some experience volunteering by this point, I had no idea how to talk to customers when they know that you're going to be pushing for them to buy something. There's a hidden agenda and undercurrent in service-related professions. However, my boss pushed me to really challenge myself and get out of my comfort zone, and ever since, you can't shut me up. Although my path stemmed mostly from rising to the needs and occasion when no one else was interested, don't wait around for a perfect opportunity where you will be pushed to rise to the occasion. Work with what's available and balance that with your own needs regarding study habits and career aspirations to make sure you're not taking on too much at one time. Medicine is a lifelong learning. As tired as that phrase is, in medical school you have the opportunity to meet many of your future colleagues as well as work on your own leadership skills in a structured environment before you have the time commitments of residency and setting up your living situation and professional connections and the more fine-grained nitty-gritty about what types of practice you're going to be engaged in, what your scope will be, and the like. Take advantage of this opportunity and remember that being genuinely interested in others will go much farther than trying to network with an agenda. You never know who could do something for your career down the line, but even if you meet someone outside of the field, you never know who appreciates your kindness and what they could be doing behind the scenes for your benefit either. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, but please don't feel like you have to employ all of these things. Pick and choose what you think is personally relevant for your own communication style and struggles with networking and socializing, and try them out for yourself to see if they're a good fit. Thanks again. I've been Raman. All the best.